What is this for?
I mean, like, it doesn't help the anti-conspiracy case that virtually every one of these mass shooters was like known to the FBI
Yeah.
or like
Right.
just like on their
Yeah.
radar. And then like if we're gonna talk about the fucking NYPD, because like the subway has been like largely the focus of like increased policing, certainly since Eric Adams has been mayor. And like if you're on the subway now, there are cops in every subway station. There's usually 5 of them just hanging out right by the turnstiles, basically just trying to stop, like to arrest and ticket people for jumping the turnstile. But like, yeah, it didn't seem to help anyone. It helped anyone here. And during the 30 hours in which like the alleged shooter was at large, the NYPD's anti-terrorism task force was clearing a homeless encampment in Tompkins Square Park.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Like I said, the New York NYPD, 7th largest military in the world. Michael Bloomberg loved to brag about that. They have a bigger budget and more men under arms than the Ukrainian military.
Yeah.
I got a
Well,
solution
mean,
to
like,
2 problems here. Just airdrop the entire NYPD into Kiev and have them fight their way out.
yeah.
Get them some working radios, though.
And take away their fucking phones.
Yeah. This it did kind of like either Fall Guy mass shooting or like I don't know what you would call this. This is just a Gladio as done by Italian Americans versus actual Italians and Americans. But one or the other, right? I'm sort of erring more towards the side of it's not Gladio right now. Unfortunately, like took away from the coverage of like the homeless camp sweeps, which are like fucking horrifying. We're like, as with many things on the street level criminal justice front, it's sort of like the maximalist policy of like making the most amount of people miserable, like just destroying like any type of space that like any homeless person has. So these people who have been like tormented for like sometimes decades by fucking living outside and being exposed to the elements and like aggravating already existing mental health problems and despair. Like, what are they supposed to do? Just like ride the fucking train all day as everything deteriorates? Like the homeless policy in every major American city is just like random acts of violence by the police and then turning every man, woman, and child into like a freelance unpaid social worker.
Yeah.
Where it's like, I mean, like most homeless people, I'm not going to say are like going to attack somebody, but like it's kind of all bets are off when someone has like completely untreated mental illness and has been exposed to the elements for like 30 fucking years. And it's just a horrifying, awful situation for everybody. But like, if there is like a random attack by a homeless guy, then they can go, oh look, we need to sweep more camps, and then just like make the fucking problem worse. It's like it's just a horrible system all around. And
like,
of course, like they've like shifted the debate on it so much through all this that like the like left position, if you live in a city, is like, no, they should be allowed to like live outside and like eat garbage.
Yeah.
Because you've like destroyed any institution that could give them any type of housing or accommodation or treatment. And so like the best thing you could do is just show that like you personally are not upset by seeing them.
Yeah. Like the homeless people being out there is a chance for you to show how enlightened you are, that you don't mind.
Yeah.
But like I sort of feel like the way like the focus of like a lot of major cities on like an increasingly like punitive and like sort of homeless centered policing strategy of like clearing encampments, sort of like these mass sweeps, and Christ knows like if California, like they're about one step away from just like putting them on a train.
Yeah, there's going to be I think there's going to be camps
and,
in the near term
yeah,
future here.
like the
I don't see how that
Manzanar
doesn't happen.
solution, yeah. And like just inculcating like a greater sense of like fear and hatred for the homeless among like the I guess like the rest of the population. But the thing is, like as like a policing technique, it just seems to be like one of the only things that they can do that people like see and is easy for them to do, because it's like like you just see where the homeless are, and then like, oh, like no one's gonna complain if you like rouse them up, arrest them, throw out all their shit. Whereas like there was another mass shooting in the Bronx this weekend. Or like just like a couple of, in the same amount of time, like and like a bunch of people were shot in the Bronx, and I believe someone was killed. And like it's just like whether it's the problem of guns or rising crime, it's just like it doesn't seem like any policing strategy has like much of an effect on any of it. But like what people can see and what's easy to do is just like do these mass sweeps of the homeless and like sort of blame them for like people's increasing sense of insecurity and like this, even though it may, like whether it's true or not, people feel it, and like homeless people are the ones who are like the face of that now because they are a problem that can be not solved but dealt with in a way that the public like looks at and they're like, oh yeah, that's why we have cops, like that's what they're for.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's like all American wars. It's designed to never be able to win it.
Yeah.
You like they're never like someone with the resources of the LAPD or NYPD could like, yeah, do something absolutely awful and psychotic, like just send them on a long march outside the city or something. But they'll never really do that because they always want there to be like some presence of that. So yeah, people there's always like this problem that people can feel like you need cops to solve.
Yeah.
And also like I don't know, I think like just seeing like scores of suffering people writhing on the sidewalk is just part of the design in America, kind of.
Yeah.
Like you're kind of
It
supposed
keeps
to
you on
see
your
that.
grind.
Yeah, you're kind of supposed to see that because it's like, hey, there's no floor for you to fall to. There's
Yeah,
no net
yeah.
to catch
We
you.
do not have there's no one catching you, so
So yeah, like
fucking
so work on the weekends, like
yeah, keep
Yeah.
yeah.
minding your P's and Q's.
Right. I mean, like the like the increasingly precarious middle class is supposed to see like essentially indentured servants as their reminder, as their cattle prod to keep in line, and then the indentured servants are supposed to see the homeless to serve the same function.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I guess if we're talking about this um increased sense of just bafflement that people have, like an increased sense of like whether it is like more statistically dangerous now than it was 20 years ago, which it is not, and it is in fact broadly safer across most categories. People feel it, and I'm not saying they're even wrong to feel this way. Like even though it may not be like technically rational, but like I mean, who's capable of rationality anymore? It's
Yeah,
just like
that's not a thing.
yeah, like like I said, like the sense of bafflement and alienation that people have that like they tend to be stoked and increased by like things that make you feel like that the fabric of society is being rended apart in front of your eyes. To turn to that phenomenon of like how people feel about reality and their ways of coping with it, I would like to turn now to the New York Times, who has remember we did the like the focus group on like independent swing voters a while back.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
they have a new one out now about like conservative men and like how they think and feel about American society. And there's a lot of gems in here. So let's dive into this. Like the headline is, "These 8 conservative men are making no apologies." This is by Patrick Healy and Adrian J. Rivera. They begin this little like focus group that they talk about. They sort of like they set it up like this. They say, there was no talk of a stolen election, no conspiracy theories about voter fraud or rants about President Biden's legitimacy. Yet, listening to our 90-minute focus group with 8 conservative men, you couldn't help but worry for our democracy a bit. So I'm gonna call bullshit on this immediately, because if it is a focus group plumbing the brains of 8 random conservative men in America, and there's not a single one talking about a stolen election, then I'm sorry, they have cherry picked these fucking 8 guys so that they wouldn't talk about shit like that.
Yeah,
Because I don't
just
think
like they
this is an
do
accurate representation.
with the
Yeah,
conservatives who get on the editorial page.
yeah, exactly. This is I like if they're not talking about like the vaccine being like snake DNA to make you part satanic and remove the God gene from your body, or about how President Trump won the election. I don't like I don't think that this is an accurate representation of the current state of American conservative men and their beliefs and opinions. That being said, the New York Times writes, the men didn't see themselves fitting into American society today. They didn't feel free to be themselves in the culture. 7 of them said that they felt like a stranger in their own country. At a time when democratic institutions are under pressure and even under attack, and the United States feels so ununited, what causes these Americans to feel so alienated from American? After a recent focus groups with Democratic leaning voters on the economy, younger women on work, relationships and gender roles, and teenagers on school and their futures, we decided to talk to conservative men about how they see themselves and what they value. Most said that they believe society is headed toward increased rule breaking and a me culture. Crime and a sense of lawlessness came up a lot. Our focus group leader, Kristen Soltis Anderson, was she had a cameo in the Della Volpe piece, saying that she was singing the praises of Della Volpe on
Oh,
Monday.
yes. The Zoomer whisperer.
Yeah. Kristen Soltis Anderson was surprised by how much they used examples of poor road etiquette as emblematic of broader societal decay. To that end, safety was a major theme. Concern about being physically attacked and also concern about being verbally attacked for what they say. Several felt the cost of saying what they really think is sometimes just not worth it, evoking worries among some Americans about free speech and cancel culture. And they also had strong views about masculinity and gender. They seemed aware that their views are out of step with modern culture and will offend some, but still felt their views were obviously correct. So, all right. So, let's skip ahead to the actual focus group. So, Kristen Soltis Anderson begins by asking, this is the stock and trade question of focus groups. She says, if you had to describe your biggest concern about the United States or American society in a single word or phrase, what would it be?